he is going to start us out. He looks pretty comfy wherever he's at right there, but it's time for work, man. All right, so without further ado, I would like to introduce Mr. Eugene, and go ahead, take it away.
Hi, good morning, everyone. So as you know, we're just having our end of the year webinar. It's been an awesome, I guess for some people, 5 years. For me, it's almost been like a year and a half. And we just wanted to kind of put together a presentation of all your successes and just go over some, basic things that we've collected over the years. So could we get the presentation going, Julie? Perfect.
If we can go ahead and start recording as well.
Already on it.
Boom.
Can you see the screen?
I can see it. Perfect. Can everyone else see the screen?
Can you see my controls in it or no?
Nope.
Okay, cool.
Amazing. So looking back at our journey, ACORN CITE Project Summary 2018 through 19. Next slide. Oh, yeah. Jasmine said yes.
Okay, let's see. Hold on, it's not. Oh, okay, wait. There we go.
Awesome. Okay, so this year this is just kind of a map of where everyone was. So as you can see, a lot of our tribes, subcontractors were located in kind of like the northern, Western California region. And, we had 22 ACORN subcontractors and 8 CITE. Next slide. So as you know, policy system environmental changes, PSCs, are the things that we've been working on. So among the 22 subcontractors and the 8 CITE subcontractors, we had 22 to promote physical activity, 14 to improve nutrition access to traditional foods, and then 9 for harmful effects of commercial tobacco exposure, and then 7 working on improving clinical community linkages. So a lot about what ACORNS and CITE, what we've been really kind of striving to achieve is sustainability. And in that sense, we just kind of wanted to cultivate, kind of the foundation to create partnerships as well as maintain them after this program ends. Just because the ACORNS and CITE funding ends doesn't mean that, your programs necessarily have to end. So for partnerships, we had around 110 sustained partnerships this year. And then multi-sectoral collaborations were 40. So this is different, more than 2 kind of partnerships all coming together and being utilized for a specific, activity. Next slide. So another part of ACORNS is that we provide, technical assistance to you guys. And so we did 125 technical assistant kind of, requests. We kind of broke them down into 4 categories. So consultation was kind of like, if we were talking to you on the phone about certain things, maybe like Geneva was talking to you about, your work plan, or I was doing evaluation, that'd be consultation. Resource development. So I know some people have asked me to make a survey. And so that was something that, we helped you guys do. Training needs, specifically, whatever it might be. I've done trainings on evaluation, but if anyone was doing any training like Geneva on program sustainability, that would be, that. And then other was kind of something that we didn't know how to categorize, but we put it in there. So 125, awesome. Hopefully we helped. So again, another part of it is providing trainings, presentations. I know some of them are required, but we really do like putting these on for you guys. And so we had around 4 meetings, and that includes kind of our resource meeting, as well as we try to do regional meetings, and then trainings, we had 5, and then webinars, we had 10. And then in total participation, we had 201 total participants. So every time you like, logged into a webinar or if you attended a meeting. We kind of tracked all that. And so the 3 tribes that had the highest participation this year were Cloverdale, Redwood Valley, and Riverside. Woo! Good job, guys. Amazing. So this is kind of a dense chart, but I kind of wanted to show the progress that you guys made this year. So bear with me. I know this is kind of like, what are these numbers? So basically on the left-hand side, we have our different kind of like trainings and topics that you wanted to learn about earlier this year. So it ranges to like chronic disease, to leadership skills, to public speaking. Maybe you want to learn more about, commercial tobacco cessation, education. And so basically the first column is showing an increase in knowledge. So this is the jump that we've seen in people reporting, self-reporting their knowledge increasing. So at the beginning of the year, we sent this training needs assessment to everyone. And then I kind of sent a post survey using the same exact questions at the end of the year. And from this, we've measured that, all these are jumps in how they experience their, personal capacity. So I think the highest ones were grant writing skills. And as CRIB, we've hosted, certain grant writing skills. Another one was program management, which is at 19%. And then I guess the next highest one would be PSE strategy development. So these all kind of go hand in hand with like, ACORN CITE, the program. It's kind of, I don't know, there's a 7.4% decrease in stress management. Hopefully our reporting hasn't stressed you out that much. I don't know. And then, so the decreases on the right-hand side show decreases. It's basically kind of like the same thing, but showing kind of the decreases of levels. So the first column, the middle column, sorry, I think I got kind of cut off, but like the middle column is just maybe they said they were like not very familiar with it. And then the right-hand column is saying that they are completely not familiar with it. And so those are the decreases in kind of levels. So the highest one was maybe chronic disease prevention at minus 14%. So 14% of the people felt they went from not knowing anything to knowing something. The next one was, I would say, social media skills. And so we've provided kind of trainings. I know Mariah and Jesse, out of Lone Pine have provided, kind of their take on social media and kind of, putting out multimedia resources and things like that. Oh, that would have helped. Awesome. Next slide. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. So I think we can go on to the next one. So I kind of also just broke down, I did ask like some qualitative questions on the survey. And so a lot of people really like this year enjoyed the resource meeting. And I thought it was a great meeting. Geneva, the team, we all tried our best, and, it was outdoors and it was super fun. Hopefully everyone really enjoyed it. But I mean, we had a really fun time putting it on as well. 100% of our individuals who responded to the survey felt their training needs were met. So basically, a lot of our job is to really set you guys up for success and making sure that, I know that even though this funding may be ending, that we have given you the tools for sustainability and to hopefully continue your programs later on, as well as, training, increasing your capacity to, help you help Indian country. And so 100% of people felt like, their training needs were met. And the following chart shows a comparison. I think the slides got mixed up, but basically the slide before was the one that showed the comparison of pre-post confidence levels and the training needs that we went over. Next slide. And yeah, and now I'm going to hand it over to Geneva.
Well, I definitely would like to introduce our ACORN's fearless leader, Miss Geneva Sorensen, who is going to go over some of our ACORN successes. Woo, woo.
Woo, woo. Okay, cool. So this is, you can also, I will then counter introduce my also great teammate, Ephraim Lopez, who's been kind of taking on the CITE stuff. So we're going to sort of co-present as we go through the rest of the webinar. And basically, we just wanted to give an opportunity to highlight each one of you and each one of the programs that we funded this year through ACORNS, and just kind of celebrate some of the work that's been accomplished. And if some of you are on this call and we're talking about your program, I would love to let you talk about it too. So if you have things that you're really proud of, or if I'm not sharing it completely correctly, please feel free to jump in, and it's nicer to hear that come from you. So just as an invitation. So we're going to go alphabetically just down the list because that's easy. So in no particular order, we have the Big Pine Paiute Tribe of Owens Valley, and they have been an ACORNS grantee for most of the 5 years, and they have an established wellness center, and they've done a whole variety of different projects. But this year they were focusing on trying to expand their bike program and also just continue to establish regular activities at their gym. So they have a wellness center, but they wanted to try to increase the number of offerings that they were having at the wellness center, try to bring in more people and kind of meet the wellness needs of their community. So they put out an RFP and they hired some people. They had some transitions come through, but overall we're able to increase more classes, regular classes, and more variety of classes. They've also have used their wellness center as sort of a community resource space to hold education events on nutrition, physical activity, and diabetes. And so they've been able to sort of integrate and actually partner with Toyabe to hold some Wellbriety classes at their wellness center. So that was a fun partnership that developed later on, and kind of that idea of linking the services that are offered at the clinic and putting them out into the community. They also purchased and distributed these really awesome cookbooks, which are like how to make a meal for $1 or $2, and it shows all these meals and how much it costs and what you need to buy for it. And they were able to distribute those during commod drop-offs, and I believe we're doing some kind of demonstration recipes while they did that as well. So they've been working really, really hard and have continued to do that. And so just really proud of that work. And they're down in the kind of, Owens Valley, Bishop, Eastern Sierra area. Let's see. And also if my team, if any of you have things you want to add throughout this, please jump in. If I can go next here. Next. Okay. Big Valley. So this is Kristin Amparo. She is located in Big Valley, which is kind of around Clear Lake and is part of Lake County Tribal Health Consortium. Kristin is super, super involved in the youth in her community and is this really inspiring leader. And she's been working with the Boys and Girls Club and has been working to create a tribal youth sports league. And really has leveraged a lot of partnerships. She has a strong relationship with the school there. She's been working with the Boys and Girls Club, and she's working with her tribe, and really feels passionate and called to create opportunities for the youth in her community. And I know she's taken them on, out of state basketball tournaments, and really has a good relationship with them. So she's established a tribal youth sports league that will then be an opportunity for them in their community to keep their youth active, and also have a safe space for them to go after school and participate and hang out. And they've also implemented a healthy lifestyle program that includes nutrition and movement classes for different ages. So that's kind of tied in with her after school Boys and Girls Club programming. They do some nutrition and fitness activities with their youth, and that's had a really positive response. So super proud of that work there. And then next is Bishop Paiute. So Rosalie, she wasn't able to make it to the resource meeting this year, but she has been working at the Wellness Center And this grant has really been used to sort of fund her position. And she's been really passionate about trying to increase the capacity of their wellness center there in Bishop. And she, through her excitement and passion for the wellness center, has increased the number of tribal members who use that over the several years, including this year, and actually created her own tracking system and kind of developed her own volunteer system because she can't be hired full time. So she sort of set up this volunteer system so that the gym could still be open during certain times, and wrote up some policies and procedures in order to manage that project. And ended up creating a couple of surveys to get feedback on how they could be doing better, and if, what different times or equipment and that sort of thing. And then she's also partnered with her language program or her culture department to get some Paiute language posters posted in the wellness center. So there's some cultural, like, motivational posters that are posted up. And so she's just done a really excellent job and really taken a lot of ownership over that wellness center and put a lot of her heart and soul into trying to see how to make it better, and really trying to use data and sort of systems, policies and systems to create sustained change and keep the impact of that wellness center continuing. And actually, I want to say that I think that the Bishop Paiute tribe is now going to, or it's being proposed to put her position in the actual budget. So that's really a huge shift. The tribe has seen the value of what she's bringing to the table through this grant program, and now they're sort of considering how they can fit some of her time and salary into their actual budget so that this can stay sustained.
Can I add something to that?
Mm-hmm.
These are community champions. These are folks that were volunteering their time, and then the tribes saw how interested and how vested they were in these programs, and now it's going to be turning into a position for her. So kudos to Miss Rosalie.
Yeah, super, super proud of that. So next is Bridgeport Indian Colony. So we got several that are down here on the kind of Toyabe area. So Bridgeport has historically done a lot of good work through their ACORNS program. They've kind of focused on a bunch of different things. Early on, they not a construction greenhouse, but a greenhouse that they were able to grow some seeds and have starts. They have kind of a colder weather, so they've had to really try to figure out how to modify and meet the needs of their climate in order to grow food throughout. And I know that's been an interesting challenge sometimes, but they have a greenhouse, they have a native plant garden, they have this like trail that kind of goes through that whole thing, and they've had bees. And the community has been really bought into the honey and the bees, and they've gone to elementary schools and kind of taught about that, and they've sold some of the honey, and the staff members have gone to sort of some bee conferences to keep that skill going. So they've been able to sustain that garden and those bees almost for the last 3 or 4 years, and it's a really beautiful space. They've also been working really hard to develop more partnerships within their community. And I know some of the successful ones have been working with the elementary school there and holding some Earth Day events and doing some health education events, and really trying to, because it's such a small community, really understanding the importance of connecting to some of those other like established organizations there so that they can support each other's work in wellness. And, accessing the youth is a really great way to do that. They also purchased cookbooks and distributed those, and I think they primarily focused on the elders first, because that was kind of a priority population for them, and then have also distributed to other folks in the community. So they've been doing some good work up there, and I'll let Ephraim kind of talk about what they're doing with their CITE grant.
Cool, thank you. So can you guys hear me? Okay, cool. So I guess in addition to all that other wonderful work, they did some different stuff with CITE, and there was a little bit of like challenges there. I mean, sometimes it's weather, sometimes it's transportation. So that may have stopped some people, but of course this here is Indian country and challenges are nothing new. So when trying to do some of like their education meetings, they were having trouble with, getting transportation to from like the people to the meetings, but they went the extra mile and decided to literally take the meetings to everyone door to door in the community. Since they are a pretty small community, they were able to do that. And I got to give some props to Deborah, which that must have been exhausting to go to everybody that needed it. They've also done some vaping presentations, as Geneva mentioned. They did some Earth Day events. So I think to, you know, incorporate their tobacco, their cultural tobacco presentations into the Earth Day event was really cool, and then segue into how vaping is not part of that. So I think that was a good way to collaborate and increase some of their you know, collaborations and sustainability aspects. They've also done a good job with taking down some of the like cigarette and vaping product marketings within their markets. I think they've only got a few. So if they've only got a few to choose from and they're always being exposed to it, taking it down in only a few markets means pretty much all of them. So I think that was really good. I think in terms of CITE, that's the only additional things that I've got for Bridgeport.
I'd like to add something as well. The importance of leaving a great paper trail or leaving a scope of work. So these folks were challenged with having staff turnover. And like Ephraim said, Miss Deborah was able just to hop in here and look at what was left from the last person and able to get into this program and take it to another level. So again, the importance, we know that there's staff turnover, but the importance of leaving a really, a paper trail that people can follow. So great job, Bridgeport.
Yeah, and they actually own the store. The tribe owns the store, so they have a great opportunity. And yeah, they were able to remove some of that marketing that was, you know, thinking about stuff that's at eye level for the youth, or just, you know, promotes images that are, you know, using native images to kind of promote commercial tobacco use or different things like that. So even though it's maybe not stopping somebody from smoking, it's just kind of taking one more thing out of the environment that might, you know, encourage somebody or entice somebody to access commercial tobacco, which is kind of what that whole PSE, policy systems and environmental changes, is about, is like those smaller changes that we can make to the community at large to slowly kind of shift.
Yeah, thank you for that addition, Geneva. So yeah, I guess they are still, you know, selling commercial tobacco, but it's one of the things that like got the conversation started, and it's a really good segue to like next steps and to get everyone, well, more or less in agreement with saying, yeah, this eye level stuff, that's probably not cool. And we are all in agreement to not market in that particular manner. Mm-hmm. So it kind of starts the movement, you know, so kudos to them.
Yeah, cool. Let's see. Okay, our webinar attendee champions, Clover and Sharia. I want to second that and just give big thanks and kudos to the Cloverdale team. I think beyond what they've accomplished just this year, as I've been able to kind of work with them over the last few years, one thing that I really just admire and value about their approach is they truly are a team. They have an ACORNS team that meets regularly. They discuss all the aspects of the program and really support each other in trying to make and figure out what's best for their community to meet their needs. And so that's been something that's been really awesome to watch and kind of be a part of. So I don't know if I know some of them are on the call right now, so I don't know if any of them want to share their story or if they want me to speak on their behalf. Looks like Vicky doesn't have a mic. So if you have something to add, Vicky, you can type it in, or if you guys want to unmute yourself and pop in with some stuff, feel free. But last year, or I think it was last year, they started some container gardens that started at their tribal offices, which is kind of in they're a landless tribe, so they have some space there, but they made this really beautiful container garden with some recycled materials, and it was really successful and fun, and they got to kind of bring some of that food into their to their lunches, and that also kind of garnered some interest from the tribal community, and they decided to put on a container garden workshop last year for the first time. And it was such a success that they decided to do it again this year. And I believe that it was has continued to grow, and the momentum has continued to grow, and people are calling in and looking for garden advice, and you know, getting to plant a seed for their first time, or see some food grow, you know, from the plant for the first time, and be able to be connected to their food like that. So I think it's been a really, really successful project in that, and that's just one of the things that they've focused on. They've have like a gym at their tribal office that they've gotten supplies and equipment for, and had classes. I believe they had their first yoga class offered at their tribal office. They created, I haven't seen the final version, but I've seen, I think, a draft version perhaps of a cookbook that they got recipes from their community, and I believe they're going to be handing it out for their Elders Day, or did hand it out on their Elders Day. Yeah, they've just really been passionate about this project, and really taken it on as like a personal thing. And I think as a team, not only have they kind of created some synergy and health and wellness between them, but also they've been this really wonderful example for their community, and really good advocates for it. So super like proud, happy vibes for Cloverdale. So big thank you to all of you.
And I must say, they have the tastiest little tomatoes in the Starling Marsh. Made sure when I got back on the road, I had snacks to get all the way back to Sacramento. So it was a great site visit with you all.
And I'm just going to read some of the chat stuff. So they said, thank you. It's been a wonderful journey. They did hand out their cookbook at their Elders Day, and everyone loved it. And they have a watermelon growing and big tomatoes. So super exciting.
Yeah, I was going to say, I felt very welcomed when I was there. And that kind of goes for everybody. I at least personally, I really appreciate how during our site visits, everyone is just so nice to us. So thank you guys for all that. So for CITE, they've been working with some of their elders, as Geneva was mentioning. And on top of that, during that time, they've also like created their own quick kits, and they did it like just on their own, and I think they were really cool. I sent over some like extra cultural tobacco stuff, and they were able to get this out into the community and do like cultural tobacco education. And from what was reported, it was like a lot of the youth are really starting to see the differences. So to have that start so young or younger, I think it's a big impact, because then as they, as the youth kind of grows, they're able to sort of teach the newer people coming on about the differences. They've also created a new or added to the existing policy, and they made it more inclusive to include smokeless tobacco and vaping, which, as a lot of you may know, that it's considered an epidemic by the U.S. Surgeon General now. One of the things that I really liked that I saw during the site visit, and it's still in the works, so it might not be up and running quite yet, but they're making a website, and they've highlighted some of these kind of some of the community success stories, so with some of the people that have quit smoking through the CITE program, or with assistance from the people in their CITE program. And I was really excited. It looks really cool. So they have like basically their pictures and their stories and how they did it. And hopefully they can get that up and running so everyone can kind of see it, in case you guys wanted to model something like that you may have done in your community. And they also have an internal like posting schedule to keep like a steady stream of reliable information for anyone that's maybe they go to an event and they're like, oh, where can I get more information? And they have that Facebook page. So if you guys want to type your Facebook page in the comment box and get some extra followers. Oh, there it is. Anyway, so that's what I've got, but I'm also really, they really do work as a team at Cloverdale. and it was really cool to see them kind of in action. And I also got a chance to see their garden, and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. But they used the garden like attraction to really be like, cool, now that you're here at our super cool garden with our awesome like veggies and fruits and herbs, let me tell you a little bit about some tobacco education. And they really were able to get like to increase the reach that way, to combine both of their program events. So good job, guys.
Awesome. Okay, so Cold Springs, they also weren't, they're kind of up outside of Porterville, kind of in the eastern Sears, south of Sacramento. And they have been doing some really great environmental work and have really kind of taken on some big projects. So they have had their garden, and they've partnered with their EPA department over the years. They got a new greenhouse this year so that they can have starts. They also kind of have some challenges with cold weather because they're a little bit up in the hills, and also pests like deer eating all of their berries. But their garden has included native plants, so strawberries and elderberries, and then some tomatoes and peppers and that sort of thing. And they've also ordered and installed basically solar street lights. And so they had a basketball court that was kind of out on one of their tribal office areas that was super dark and not lit. And so they actually ordered and installed these solar outdoor lights so that the basketball court and and they also ordered some outdoor exercise equipment that's permanent, that's, can be landed there permanently. That's all lit up. So now as it starts to get darker earlier, the community has a way to use those exercise equipment or use the basketball court or walk in that area safely because there's light and it's all solar. So it's pretty awesome. I know that they partnered heavily with their EPA and roads crew in order to get some of that installation work done, I think, which was a helpful partnership. And then they also kind of created a policy for that outdoor equipment and fitness materials so that they could make sure that there's, the liability stuff and just making sure that the caretaking and who's responsible for that. And so in addition to sustaining their garden that they've continued, they've also been able to install this, which has been, I think, really, really helpful and productive for them. And I think people are using it. They also got some benches out there. So, if family wants to watch their, watch people play basketball or, hang out on the court, they can sit and enjoy there. So it's not just it's kind of the social health as well, and creating a space that the community can gather. That's a healthy space that people can be active and spend time together. So it's been really awesome. They've also had some staff turnover, and something that was really helpful for that was the person who was the grant manager before moved over to a different organization, but she was still really, she cared a lot about what was going on with ACORNS and really supported the next person to come in and kind of helped mentor her into that role since it was her first time managing that. So a lot of really good work that's happened there. And also I will say they were another group that really kept their ACORNS team established throughout the 5 years of the grant and utilized each other to support and held regular meetings to make sure that they could stay on track with their things and make sure that they were being responsive to the community. So really proud of all the work that they've accomplished. And yeah. And also if anyone has questions about any of these things as we continue to go on, let us know. Or if you want to be connected and have questions about how they did something, we're happy to.
Can we go back to Cold Springs? Mm-hmm. I would like just to add a little bit to what Geneva said, that they did have staff turnover and that this person was still very vested into working with the next person that came on. The next person that came on was someone that I first met when I worked way back in Head Start. So this was a youth that had been trained over the years that took her position. So, I mean, the importance of working with the youth and engaging them into these projects. So, Miss Jennifer came in and, I mean, I met her when I walked in the room. I remembered her from back in Head Start. So, I mean, these are some awesome programs.
Yeah, definitely. Ephraim wanted to mention that Cloverdale is offering free nicotine patches for tribal members that want to quit smoking commercial tobacco as well. So they are really trying to take ownership over taking care of their people and giving them the resources and the support that they need to make the choices that they will need to make. So thanks for adding that. Okay, moving right along. Okay, so Elam Indian Colony is also out in kind of the Lake County area and part of Lake County Tribal Health Consortium. This was their first year actually doing, being an ACORNS grantee, doing kind of phase 2 implementation. And they were such a delight to work with, and they really tried to create more physical activity opportunities for their tribal members. And what I really appreciated about in Elam's journey this year was their adaptability and flexibility. So they had some plans, and they actually made some partnerships with local gyms to get free or reduced gym memberships there, or to be able to utilize that space. And you know, we're having some challenges getting people signed up, or found that, you know, they were first focusing on the adults, but then actually found that most of the kind of people that were interested were actually the youth, you know, and they were also kind of talking about doing some cardio stuff, but most people were interested in softball. So, you know, we had a lot of different conversations, and they were able to really sort of adjust their approach and realize, okay, so the youth are the people that are interested, so let's tailor our programming and kind of create space for the youth to come. And actually what's happened is they have this gym, and they have these kind of open gym hours where they will provide some different like fitness classes, including boxing. And when we're on their site visit, they were talking about how that has actually evolved into not just being about physical activity, but really it's created a healthy and safe space for the youth to just come and hang out and, you know, kind of stay out of trouble. And really like kind of create a relationship in a space, a healthy relationship in a space for them to come and have mentorship and have support and, you know, talk to each other and have an adult there that's supportive of them and really cares. And so I think that although their focus was kind of on this physical activity thing, through their adaptation and really being responsive to what the feedback they were getting, they were able to really connect with a lot of the youth in their community and provide some fitness and also relationship to support wellness. And they also partnered with Lake County Tribal Health Consortium to host a diabetes walk. And so that was a new relationship, or just kind of a deeper connection that came from the ACORNS project, in order to kind of keep that kind of clinical and community linkage and try to keep those partnerships. If we're all working on wellness, like let's, you know, join together and figure out how to do that. So really proud of the work that they accomplished in this first/last year. Okay, Greenville, and Jen is on the phone too. So Jen, if you want to pop in or add anything to your program. So they've been with us for throughout the time of ACORNS, and their program has also kind of evolved as they've had different staff turnover. But this year, Greenville really took kind of a leap and really found a lot of success, I think, in trying to promote team-based care. So within their clinic, really trying to connect all the different providers and departments so that they can provide better services, or make sure that they're getting the screenings that they need, or that things are being communicated between the different departments, and ultimately that the patients are getting taken care of. And so some of their big wins this year was they established a leadership meeting where basically they met monthly with like the IT director and the executive director and the medical director and, you know, the leader of the CMAs or their medical assistants and, you know, the CHR coordinator, and which wasn't happening before. And so from that meeting, there's been a lot of great benefits that were even just beyond what they wrote in their ACORNS grant. And one of those things is they actually wrote a job description for and hired a patient care coordinator, because as a collective, as a clinic, they realized the importance of that. And as a clinic, they, you know, had the funds to figure out how to fund that position, so that person could then make sure that they're coordinating all of these departments so that the patients are getting the best care possible. And so they kind of worked on working with their EHR system and how to do the huddle and how to enter that data, and actually solicited feedback from their staff to get, see how it was working and have made adjustments on that. And so they've just really, taken a lot of awesome strides as far as kind of improving their health system and their healthcare delivery. So I just want to give some major props to all of that great development. And and maybe, I am really proud of what they've accomplished this year. And it feels like there's a lot of good momentum that they've created as a result of this project.
So in terms of CITE, to kind of piggyback off of everything Geneva just said, they're putting together a new referral and screening system within their clinic. So they went and kind of tied all their other programs and available resources together, and then they're all getting on the same page for how to refer and treat commercial tobacco cessation. And that's important because being consistent and having medical professionals even just ask about whether or not they use tobacco or whether they want to quit increases their chances exponentially to actually make the attempt. We're actually going there tomorrow, so I'm kind of excited to see how it goes and to meet everybody. But I think it's going to be awesome the way it works out, and to just include the new screening and referral policy that they've been working on. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, and one thing I just want to add to that I think that Greenville did really well this year was how they interlaid their CITE and their ACORNS program, so that they sort of worked together and really, as a larger goal, they were trying to improve kind of their team-based care, and how that they were coordinating within the clinic kind of as an organization, and then built in their tobacco stuff. So it's the screening piece, and the screening stuff also helps them, meet their other grant goals of GIPRA measures or other sort of patient quality or quality improvement things. And so I think they did a really good job sort of interlaying and making these grant programs really work for what they're trying to accomplish as an organization as a whole, as opposed to it just the ACORNS project being its own independent, isolated project. So I thought that was strategically done really well, and using the grants to kind of support the larger goal of the organization. So Jen just said thank you, and if you have anything you want to add, Jen, to that or share, you're welcome to. Okay. She says, okay. Okay, so we got to keep moving through here. We're getting too filigree. Okay, so HoppleHoffland. HoppleHoffland is another program. I'm super proud. I'm proud of all of you. But they also have led this team, and really as a program have worked over the years to accomplish a lot and develop their program and be responsive to their community. And this year, they kind of joined some of their other programs to provide access to a dietitian who taught nutrition classes, but did it in a really sweet way that, incorporated some traditional knowledge and foods, and invited in a lot of community members. They also have been implementing and tracking their healthy living program, which they've been implementing over the last several years, and just trying to fine tune that and create more kind of involvement in that. And it's something that really is unique to HoppleHoffland tribe as far as the other tribes that are within Consolidated. And so they have a really unique program that way. They also are working on a healthy living cookbook. So again, a community cookbook to distribute recipes. And then another thing that I don't have on this slide is they got, we're really trying to build their staff capacity. And so they got all of their CHRs trained to be physical fitness kind of instructors through Native American Fitness Council. and so that they could actually provide more tailored support to their community members, and also expanding the capacity or increasing the capacity of their CHRs, and the offerings that they can have as a tribe. So really beautiful program, really have worked hard together. They have a lot of passion for what they're doing, and have been really successful in that. Okay, and Indian Child Family and Preservation Program. So a lot of you got to see kind of what they were doing, since that was where we had our ACORNS resource meeting at Yakeyama. And they've just been working on creating an organic garden, and distributing food, and partnering with SKIP, so that they can distribute that food and incorporate it in different health education programs. And really just create access of like a good amount of quality food. I know that they also distributed at Kamad drop-offs, where they did some demonstration stuff. This year, they focused a little bit less on the garden, and instead they moved to installing community gardens within tribal member homes. And I think they were able to install 6, which included their irrigation and all of that. They're also built and planted some native berry patches that are close to some of the out where we were, sort of the arbor there, so that as kids are there for different events, that there's the native berry patches and food to kind of snack on and learn about. And they're creating signs to talk about some of those native plants, and give them the Pomo name and the Latin name and the common name and some uses of it, and a nice photo, just to kind of build up that space and create it as a resource for the tribes that it serves. And then they're also working on improving some of the recreation equipment there, so that they have some quality physical activity things for the youth in the community.
Okay, so super quickly, since we have about 10 minutes left. So they're doing a anti-tobacco campaign and doing a no commercial tobacco pledge. They're also working on making some posters to put up like for their youth. And they usually have like really cool posters. So I want to see the final product, and I'm like kind of eager for it. They also have done a cultural versus commercial tobacco presentation at their youth event. I would think it was called Dreams Not Drugs, and so that was a really big event. It had a really good turnout, and they were doing all kinds of cultural stuff there, and then included some of their tobacco education work within that program, so that they have kids actually paying attention while they were there.
Nice. Okay, Lake County Tribal Health has just been a heavy hitter since the beginning, and Jamali just really does a good work. She's like the partnership queen, and has like this incredible ability to bring people in and connect resources so that she can provide the services for her community and the patients that she serves. This year, they worked on breastfeeding specifically. That was something identified by their Diabetes Action Council as a priority. And so they created a culturally tailored breastfeeding brochure and incorporated some folks from their community. And then they're also just working on that sort of team-based care stuff for increasing referrals for their wellness program. So she's kind of in the public health prevention area and figuring and partnering with the providers to see how they can make sure the patients are being connected to, referred to, and followed up with for their referral programs and for all their wellness programs. And I could talk lots and lots about Jamali. She does really incredible work and has been a huge partner for us as a team, and presented for us a million times, and just really done a stellar job. And so, yeah, just really proud of her work.
Yeah, just to add another hour to our webinar real quick so we can get through Lake County. I'm just kidding. I'll try to summarize all her work, but of course I can't do justice in here in just a few minutes. So one of the great work she did was to make a brochure that was really culturally tailored, and it was for diabetes and smoking. And she went and used her actual community and people from her community, and it ended up looking really, really good. It was like a professional pictures looking awesome, and it's super like relatable for the people that are going to the clinic to see. Like it might even be some of their friends, and she got like all the permissions that are appropriate for all the pictures, and using everyone in the community and images from the community. So I thought that was like really, really awesome.
Mm-hmm.
She also had a new referral policy for commercial tobacco cessation and modeled some stuff that some of these really big hospitals like in the UC systems are using, but made it appropriate for her clinic and her community. I'm sorry, I'm trying to summarize a whole bunch of paragraphs, but yeah, essentially, she, like Jamal, or like Geneva said, Jamali has been a heavy hitter from the beginning, and we appreciate her and all the work she's done with Lake County, and she's been a great asset to us here at Crib too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just one thing, she's just really excellent at involving the community and really is good at like delegating and making sure that it's not her that's just leading the program, but really it's a community or council or committee sort of decision, which I think is really helpful when doing public health work, because it's not just one person, it takes a team. And then the skill to kind of keep that team together and moving them along is really something that she's excelled at.
And when you have,
oh, you're on mute.
When you have team involvement like that, it really shows that these are sustainable programs that are going to continue on. And that's something that ACORNS has always been shooting for, is the sustainability of these programs.
Yeah. And I'm going to say we're probably going to go a little bit over, and I want to make sure that for the recording, we kind of do go through everybody. So just, if you need to jump off, that's okay too. But I want to at least just give everybody some time to shine. So Lone Pine Paiute Shoshone tribe, or that should be your Shoshone reservation. Actually, I apologize for that. So they actually established their wellness center. So it's a big, huge building, and they used a lot of their funding to help support the wellness center attendant, Mariah David, who a lot of you met at our meetings and has presented for us. And she has really created the wellness center to be a space of a community sort of resource space. It's not just about the gym. It's a safe emotional space. They have language classes that are held there. They have meetings there. They have a bunch of cultural posters there. And she's increased membership like dramatically from the beginning, through relationship, through from Lone Pine tribal members to also not just from Lone Pine and Paiute Shoshone, but also from others in the Owens Valley, and has created media and really developed a lot of partnerships to support tribal wellness. So you saw their alliance that came in. And I want to just kind of say one more thing that's not specific to Lone Pine, but really was driven by Mariah and her deep desire for partnership and really doing nation-to-nation building in Indian country for wellness, which I think some of you may have been a part of or remember her talking about this. But she has been wanting to partner with the other wellness centers in the Owens Valley. And so for their regional meeting, we actually just brought all of those together, and we brought some people from Toyabe there, and there was some Bishop tribal leadership that was there. And basically the wellness center attendants from Bridgeport, from Lone Pine, from Big Pine, and Bishop we met at that first regional meeting, and they have continued to meet for every month. They set a monthly meeting to meet and to talk about how they can continue to partner, how they can share resources, how they can maybe bring in training so that, collectively as a multi-tribe unit, and all kind of pitch in on that so that they can build the capacity of themselves and their community. I was talking about the Wellbriety classes. They partnered with Toyabe to bring some of these health education classes to each of their wellness centers so that their community members have easier access to attending them and participating in them. And so it's like, to me, like the ultimate success, right, is when these communities and folks are really passionate about the work that they're doing and taking it upon themselves and taking ownership to keep those meetings going and keep the partnerships and collaborations going, long term, right? Like on their own. So I think they've just done a really excellent job, and I'm super proud of that. And yeah. go ahead and go to CITE.
Sorry, I was on mute.
That's okay.
Yeah, so they've done a really good job with creating such a big momentum. As she was mentioning, they've been meeting for like every month since we were there, and I have to say they have like the coolest swag whenever I see some of it, and I'm like, I kind of want some of that. But so in terms of their tobacco policy for the wellness center, they're actually like a super healthy place. As she was saying, this, as Geneva was saying, this is like a safe place for a lot of people in the community, whether they're American Indian, Alaska Native, or like there's been a lot of like of the Latino population that has been using the wellness center as well because they feel safe there, and I think that's really awesome. But to help promote or like continue having this is really a safe place attitude, they upped the ante on their policy and included vaping and smokeless tobacco as well, and got new signage, but are really also promoting cultural tobacco. So they have like keep it sacred stuff in the gym itself, and it's basically saying, hey, that, you know, if you are doing that, that's fine here, we're really healthy, but let's keep that other stuff out of here. Even though they have currently nobody that smokes that uses the gym. They also are working on creating a few videos on the dangers of commercial tobacco and really kind of showcasing some sneaky stuff that the big tobacco industry likes to do, to put it nicely, sneaky stuff. But Mariah is like really, really good with making these videos. I don't know if for those of you who happened to be at the Morongo training put on earlier this year, we saw one of their videos that was basically like saying, hey, we need to fight this thing about our water. And I saw the video, and at the end of the video, I was mad. I was about to go to City Hall too and start advocating for them. But it was an old video that had already passed. But still, that shows like the power behind a quick video that you can put out there and, you know, really rile some troops about, you know, stuff going on in the community. And she's presented for us a few times, so we really appreciate that she can share that with all of you too, because sometimes, you know, if someone in the community can say it better than we can, then that is always appreciated by the team. So again, I really can't summarize all of her work this quickly or do it justice, but in terms of the big points in the CITE grant, that summarizes it a little bit.
Yeah.
I also have one thing to say about Lone Pine Paiute Shoshone. I honestly don't even have the words to say how much Mariah David means to me. She is definitely a woman after my own heart. She is about working for her people and showing that there's strength and unity. And pretty much that's all I can say right now. She's a really amazing person to work with. And her team is very great advocates for their communities and for their people. And that's pretty powerful in my eyes. So kudos to this tribe.
Right. I don't know if we actually mentioned the Paya Hunadu Alliance that usually comes with her to some of these presentations. But if we forgot to mention, then thank you to that particular group of people that helps with a lot of the work too.
Yeah, thank you. I agree with everything that was said. And actually, Mariah kind of bounced from a couple of the different wellness centers. So she's been with ACORNS almost the whole time, but was once with Big Pine, and then, you know, then went over to Lone Pine. And so she's just been involved and super incredible. So. Okay, so Manchester Point Arena, Band of Pomo Indians, they've also been with us for a while, and I think maybe Linda is on the call. And so Linda, if you want to jump in at all. But they have just really grown a lot, and I want to just give a particular shout out to Linda for, as she's taken over this project in this last year and really kind of worked hard at developing the partnerships that are needed for it and really taking ownership about all of the classes. They've been doing a sewing class pretty much consistently over the last 5 years where they're making regalia, and they have a really solid following of people, including elders, that come together and gather for social wellness. They have a really strong connection to their traditional food and have people in their community that are able to gather and hunt that food in order to provide access to that for their community members, whether that be to their elders or for ceremony or for events. And they also have been they have been having walking groups with their youth. They actually partnered with the high school for the first time this year and put on this awesome sort of Olympics event that included all sorts of physical activity stuff, and just gathering and relationship building between the high school and the community at large and with the tribal community. And they've been doing monthly garden workshops and helping keep that stuff moving. And Linda does this on top of all of these other responsibilities that she has, which so many of you do. So many of you just wear so many hats and still have the ability to carry on these projects in such an incredible way. And so they have just done a lot of really, really great work. So it looks like Linda's in a meeting. But just really, really proud of all the things that they've done for their ACORNS project this year, and super grateful to have worked with them. Next, Matheson. So Matheson is a health clinic, Memorial Health Clinic. They're up near Jamestown in kind of the Sierra foothills. And they have a wellness program that's part of their clinic. And really they focused this year on trying to reinstate their medically focused yoga. And Kristin she kind of came in the middle of the grant and has just also been a huge support for this program and really been on all of our trainings and participated and been like a big supporter of us and our programming and what we're putting out there. And then just totally jumped in to this project and totally took ownership over it. So they, well into the early project year, got their yoga teacher, reinstated their medical yoga class, and have also increased the Wellness Center clinic patient volume in order to get more people kind of coming through the Wellness Center for prevention. And I think and Kristin, if you want to jump in on this, actually we got to go and do one of their yoga classes during our site visit, which was so awesome. And the teacher was just really awesome at connecting with each patient and meeting with them where they're at and really building a relationship with that. And Kristin has really helped facilitate this process of making sure that these systems are in place and the referral system is going through. She's got that brain that just kind of connects things together in a really helpful way to keep everyone going. And so, so we got to do some yoga classes. I think she's working on trying to figure out the billing piece to that. But that's been a really big success. They have a solid following of people. Their room is full every time. And it's been a really great asset to their clinic. And just super proud of that. Just happening just like it ain't nothing.
I also attended that yoga class, and I would like to say it was pretty amazing. The instructor works one-on-one with each of the folks and comes up with a plan with what's going to work best for them and what is going on with their body. I mean, even in that time, she worked one-on-one with me, and many of you know 2 years ago I did have a stroke, and she modified things to meet my needs in that particular class, and then she reports that back to their doctors. Mm-hmm. And so that working in a team was really awesome and amazing.
Yeah, and I think getting that EHR connection so that she can add that to the clinic notes and the doctors can see that, and so that the patients are, and I think Kristin's really good at sort of that negotiating, navigating piece of connecting those clinical community linkages and team-based care, and making sure that as providers and health providers that we're talking about patients so that we can best support them for where they're at. And Kristin just brings in like joy and sunshine to her office. And I think that increases wellness there too. Okay. Okay, so Moortown. So Moortown actually has been doing some really awesome work. They are located just outside of Orville. They've been doing a garden over the last couple of years, and I was able to finally go and visit it. And it's this huge space where they reused their old tobacco shack, you know, not snack shack, but basically like the old tobacco unit, which is like a old container, and like that's their garden shed now, and they've been using pallets for different stuff. And one of the project leads was saying, she's like, I didn't know anything about gardening, but has just totally taught herself. And they have the Head Start that comes in and has their own little beds that the kids come in every single morning to water and look at all the things. So they're really bringing in the youth there. They have some work, kind of like job skills, like adolescent youth that are coming in and volunteering in the garden. And every year they're just sort of building on the things that they learned before from the previous year. They've like planted a bunch of fruit trees. So it's not like any of them were experts. And they've just slowly been on this learning journey, and they have this huge space, and every year they're just sort of adding something else and adding something else and adding something else. And so I'm really excited about getting to see, you know, how that garden continues to grow, and how that sort of becomes a healthy and safe space, and a wellness space for their community. And one thing that's really awesome about it is that it's located right in the middle of their tribal housing. And so it's like their garden is basically backs up to the backyards of a ton of their tribal members' homes. And so it's super accessible. So you can literally just go out your backyard and access that garden, and participate in that and get involved in that. And they've had a lot of great tribal leadership support from that. Their chairman is like involved and is actually out there in the garden working on it and really wanting to make sure that that stays going. They also are working on breastfeeding spaces and creating safe spaces for breastfeeding within all of their tribal offices. And that is including, you know, creating signage and space and a policy to talk about their support for that. And creating spaces in different offices as each office sees fit. And then they've also continued to do cultural physical activity classes and workshops, including traditional dance classes and food gathering. So every Monday night, this grant has helped fund to have teachers come in and teach physical activity, some cultural workshops, dances, food gathering, crafts, and language, and that sort of thing. And that's been consistently attended over the course of the grant program, and is something that really brings the community together and keeps that cultural wellness alive, which is such an important piece of our wellness. Okay, Native Women's Health and Wellness Alliance. They're the ladies that got to up in Hoopaw that came and did the DIY scrubs with us. And one of their big focuses is really bringing alternative healing practices and modalities to their community, and especially for the people that are their community champions. So they're sort of healers, and they're people that are working really hard for their community. I was just up there last weekend for their final day of healing, and it was a beautiful day on this beautiful piece of property on the reservation. And they had, you know, an acupuncturist there, and they had a massager there, and they had a gentleman that does Tai Chi, and they did some of the Rami massage that Monique taught, and they provided, you know, healthy, delicious food, and really for free, and just really created this whole space for people to come to, you know, there was healthy conversations and activities and different things to just really, it was really a wellness day, and it was super beautiful. And they had elders there, and they had some youth there, and really trying to just cultivate that support of their community. They also have been really instrumental in making sure that the elementary school garden gets planted, doing a winter garden, doing a summer garden, and also trying to incorporate a healthy food policy at the school district level. And then they've also supported an elders walking group at the senior center, and getting tracking and helping create the route and providing support for that program. So they've just keeping their hands busy in all sorts of different things. Okay. Northern Valley Indian Health. I don't know if Terry is still on here. She might have needed to sign off. But they took on a huge challenge of really wanting to empower their CHRs, their community health representatives, through training opportunities and improving competencies. And originally they had kind of set out to create their own curriculum and in a way to be adaptable and responsive to where their community was at and to what their organizational capacity was. They ended up just doing a lot of training opportunities for their CHRs, doing a lot of research on different trainings and modalities and curriculum, and established core competencies for their CHRs, and really mentored and worked with the CHRs to help them feel empowered in the skills that they already had and the best ways that they could utilize those in the community. And we were able to go visit her a couple weeks ago, Julie and I, and just her report of the self-report of the CHR's own confidence in doing their job and their own sort of sense of well-being and pride in the role that they have in the community has totally increased, and they are more engaged. They're teaching more classes. They have good relationships. They're working together well. And so it's been this really lovely shift to see her program sort of develop and empower those CHRs that are such a critical piece of our health system, right? That link between the community members and the clinic itself. And if we can empower those folks, what can that mean for the impact that we can have on the community health and wellness? So, Julie, do you want anything to add to that one?
Well, everybody knows that I love CHRs. They are our community champions. They are the ones that go out into the households of our elders, of our families, and they're the ones that are building the partnerships and relationships. And so I've always loved our CHRs. And so this program, Northern Valley, is really, really working to empower them to increase their capacity, do whatever they can to help the families. And so, I mean, it was a definite pleasure meeting with all of these ladies, and the activities that we got to work on while we were there was amazing. So I loved this site visit. It was great.
Okay, Pinoleville, they've also had a very successful program. They started out working on a tribal wellness policy for their tribal staff, and they have actually sustained that wellness policy over the years, and each year they add to it and they adapt it and kind of change it. But basically they've gotten such great buy-in from it that the tribe has actually decided to increase some fringe benefits to go towards wellness activities. They've actually put on way more workshops and classes and different things than what they originally applied for in their grant, because they've learned how to make their dollars stretch, and they also have so much input and buy-in from their staff. And this is different things from like traditional food gathering to doing yoga classes to working in the garden to, having like some sort of like happiness circles where they just get to talk and support each other and build relationship. And, they've just done such an excellent job leveraging all of their resources and really creating the synergy and the buy-in from their the tribal staff and administration to kind of promote wellness and really have wellness, not just physical wellness, but spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical wellness, all being incorporated in this policy and really supported by the leadership and the staff. And so that's been something really awesome. They also have walking groups that they do with the staff regularly. And so, they've just been a really excellent example of getting that some community support and buy-in and really trying to stretch the grant dollars and getting people to input their ideas because they're invested in what's going on with it. So they've done a great job. Okay, Redwood Valley, Little Band of Pomo Indians. So another one that's been with us for a while, and they've done a lot of great work. And they've been really awesome at being able to adjust and adapt as well. With the fires that sort of happened last year, some of their priorities had to shift and they had to kind of change directions on things. But they have also done a really good job of sort of layering their different grant projects in order to kind of keep working towards their wellness goals, which is creating, a medicine garden and creating a food garden and creating some walking trail and space around their area for people to be active. And Jasmine, who kind of came in the middle and was thrown into this project, has really just done an excellent job diving in and asking questions and making things work. She's developed awesome relationships with their youth after school program, where they're asking to go walking now and getting her out to go walking. And they have, planted a garden, and the kids are stoked, and they go out and harvest the garden and, put it in the food that they're having at lunch or deliver it to the elders. And really just has taken ownership over that and done a lot of good work with the youth and promoting the healthy food and the active living. And I think Jasmine's on, so I don't know if she wants to say anything about her project, but feel free to jump in. And then if not, Ephraim, feel free to jump in.
Yeah, in terms of CITE, as Geneva was saying, that she was working a lot with the youth, that they're going on the walking trails with them, and that gives her like a big opportunity to be able to get some like insight on the youth. And a lot of these things with vaping is revolving around the youth. And one thing that they were doing with their CITE program is making a community coalition to do some education. And some of these programs sometimes take a life of their own. Like, you'll write down, here's what we're going to do, and then what actually starts happening is getting a lot of momentum in a different way. And as Geneva was saying, that is a little bit of what kind of happened with Redwood Valley. So a lot of this youth took initiative themselves and started making like no smoking signs and no, don't harm me with your secondhand smoke and stuff like that. And so they really kind of worked with that and had it take off pretty successfully. Because if you have tribal leadership that's trying to implement something and having some pushback, but then the youth is also kind of saying, hey, we would totally support this, and you can't really tell us not to do anything because we're the youth, and this isn't like technically policy. We're just letting you guys know. And so that ended up working pretty well in terms of awareness and like education. And they also updated some of their policies to like increase the distance, or like a lot of the times these policies were just beefing them up a little bit. And that's what Redwood Valley did also. So they increase their policy to just not say, you can't smoke in tribal buildings, but now it says you can't smoke within a certain distance of tribal buildings, and included vaping and smokeless tobacco as well. So it's just kind of harbors the idea of trying to keep everything like as healthy as possible, and incrementally, implementing more policies in that area. I think that might be it. Yeah, summarizing it. And I think Jasmine has commented in the comment box. She said, I don't know how to translate Yowie. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. For all your help, maybe that means thank you for all your help, Geneva, Eugene, and Ephraim. This has been no doubt challenging, but you made it easy and possible. So thank you. We appreciate your comments.
Nice. Okay, we're in the arts, so we're getting close. Okay, Riverside San Bernardino, they also this is their first year with us, but they just came in with a lot of good momentum, and they have a good team of folks. And as you might know, they have a huge service area down in Southern California. But some of the things that they wanted to focus on this year was healthy eating and physical activity. So one of the things, first off, right off the gate, they had some momentum already with a healthy food policy that was going on. And then with this grant, they were able to purchase a vending machine with healthy snacks for the clinic staff. And when we were down there for our site visit with them, actually the guy that was restocking the vending machine was coming in, and the vending machine has been a huge success. So it's like already, financially sustainable. The guy's having to restock it pretty frequently. They have all of the healthy snacks are like being utilized, and, being able to kind of implement that. And as employees, they personally were saying, you know, it's really awesome to have this as an option at the clinic, because some of those clinics, or at least at the Morongo Clinic, it's, you know, not super close to some things or with a lot of other options. And when you're at work and you just want something quick, everybody's really been really excited about it. So that's been really awesome to see how, you know, the staff in the community has really just kind of bought into that, and it's already just keeping itself going. And then also Daniel Maza, who did some Tai Chi at some of our events and has been on a lot of our calls, and you may remember him, but he does some one-on-one physical activity coaching, and then also goes around to the community and brings physical activity classes to the community. And through this program, he's been able to totally increase the amount of classes and times that he's able to go and facilitate these. And they've had a huge number of people participate in them, and really has increased a lot of access for people to get moving. And also have somebody that's a tribal member that can give them, you know, direct, specific feedback on what they're trying to do, and kind of coach them individually, as well as offer a, you know, a group movement opportunity. And so that's been fun to see him be able to grow and develop in that role, and really offer more healthy opportunities for the Riverside San Bernardino service area. Okay. Okay, and then Round Valley Indian Health Center, so they've also been doing just a lot of great work over the years, and Julia has really tries to integrate a lot of her programs, and this year they had some awesome success in getting the community engaged and establishing a framework for a wellness policy for their clinic. And so they were able to hold a lot of good conversations and meetings and kind of get some direction about where they want to go, and get some feedback from the clinic staff about what they would like to see and things that would help promote wellness in their community. And so they're in the process of continuing to develop that wellness policy and really establish it as a long-standing document in their community for their health services. And then they've also cultivated partnerships to provide physical activity and after-school programs. So using some of their grant funding, they were able to help, not fully pay for, but help support one of those after-school program areas where they had swimming every single day. They had, what other classes did they have? They had some other physical activity classes, but I think she said on average, like maybe 15 to 20 youth were participating in that almost every single day, which is like, they're in a pretty small community, so that's actually a huge number of people to consistently all summer long having an opportunity to connect together, be outside, be active. And then she also partnered with a local guy who works on bikes to do a safe biking program for the youth. So they started Bike Wednesdays, where they got a group of young boys, as you think that I think it actually was like almost 10 people consistently every week, where they do these rides up in the hills, and they learned how to fix some of their bikes. And they also made some posters to promote the kids that were being active, that the posters had them on it, you know, and so it was really a great momentum for the community to just really get their youth engaged, and really kind of get them talking about health prevention and diabetes being a big issue in their community, and talking to the youth about pre-diabetes and what that means, and how you can have healthy lifestyle choices earlier on to help prevent some of those things. So there was some really good connections and synergy there with their program this year. Pass it off to Ephraim.
Sorry, I was on mute again. So I worked with Angelica Pete for the CITE program, and I am really proud of the work that she's doing. She developed her and Julia, they developed a really strong relationship with the youth in their area. And if you were lucky enough to tune into the webinar where she was our keynote presenter for how to engage youth with commercial tobacco cessation, then you got the opportunity to see her digital story. And if you weren't, it's totally cool, because we recorded it and you can go watch it right after. But she was able to implement the Project Sun curriculum into the school. So it was like available from the school, and she actually got several youth to stop smoking and really did educate them on cultural tobacco. And then she's going through the second round, I think, right now. And ideally, that Project Sun curriculum is working to be evidence-based. So you may soon be able to see it be an evidence-based thing available to several people. So she's really in the early stages of this and has done some really, really awesome work. And I think it was 12 youth, if I'm not mistaken, that were able to finish the program and are now commercial tobacco free, and are also helping to spread the word in her in like the school about cultural tobacco. And so it started a really important and vital movement, and to kind of fighting back against this big movement towards vaping and e-cigarettes. And so she's got her youth and, kind of saying like, nah, that's not cool. That's not us. And she's really invested into this program and really cares about her youth and has been doing a really good job. So kudos to them, and super, super proud of their work.
Okay. I think this is the last one. So San Ynez has been a clinic. They're kind of far out, from a lot of people. So it's harder for them to jump in on some things, but they have also done a really awesome job at some collaborations within their tribal community. One of the staff members is a medical doctor at the clinic. And then the other main program staff, Nakia, who helped facilitate one of the sessions at the resource meeting, she's in charge of the cultural department. And so through the tribe and the clinic, they've really collaborated to do healthy eating through native foods program. So they created a healthy foods policy so that they can have, which is implemented at the clinic. So any event that they purchase food for or anything that they put on has to follow these certain standards, and they have like kind of the standards written out and a system to track that. And then they've also partnered with some people outside of the community to put on some garden type of workshops. They've planted a garden at the tribal facilities, and the way that their space is designed, it's like the clinic, and then right across the street is the tribal offices. And then there's a garden that kind of goes around the tribal offices and a path that leads across to the clinic, and then also down to like a kind of like a exercise area and another portion of the garden. So the way that they've really designed this is to be super integrated, and they actually have medicinal kind of plants outside of the tribal office. So they're growing white sage. So if somebody comes in or asks for a community member comes into the tribal office and needs to have some of that medicine there, it's available to be able to, harvest and give away, and really like doing an awesome job connecting some of those cultural pieces with their own community health and wellness, and having that medicine be available to the community sort of as a normal thing, and not having it, just that access to it and being able to utilize that as healing if they want. And so they've just done a really good job collaborating with that and putting on really high quality events and education. And they've also done some education to encourage home gardens within the community, and really trying to kind of keep this collaboration going to, again, for that larger vision of what they want their community's wellness to look like, really integrated, incorporating culture, accessible, and all of those good things. So movement and food and beverage and spiritual health and all of that. And another thing I just want to give a shout out to, just as a resource. So, Katia Adachi Serrano, who is the medical doctor who's on this, she's also a trained herbalist. And so when I went to go visit their clinic, I went to her office, and not only is she a Western medical doctor, she also has an entire cabinet of ethically sourced herbs, like herbal medicine in jars, and can totally prescribe those kinds of medicines to people. And so she has this really beautiful balance of kind of using like plant medicine and the kind of Western medicine in her practice, and that's available to her community members. So she's just really incredible and has a lot of knowledge and passion, and is just a great resource if you're curious to kind of know what that's like and how they've really tried to integrate that kind of medicine into their clinic. And just a really inspiring example of what's possible in health, in our clinics and in the health field. And so I thought I was really impressed by that. So I think, let me see if that's, beautiful. Thank you to all of you. And I know I just love giving, love giving. And I think just in general, I'm just super humbled and so grateful for this whole journey that we've had together over the last handful of years. And personally, I mean, I see your projects develop, but then also just in how you're reporting and your, the trainings that you've been able to participate in, and your ideas and confidence and different just successes that you've had over these years. I've seen so much change and so much momentum gathering with all of your hard work and dedication. And it's not possible without that heart piece. And so I'm just so grateful to be a part of all of this, and so inspired by all of your hard work. And I just want to give just deep, deep, deep gratitude to all that you've taught me and all that you've shared with me, and how you've opened, your organizations and your community up to welcome us and our team and the work that we're trying to do. And so big thanks.
Ditto what Geneva said. It's been really awesome working with all of you.
Yeah. Yeah. So we have an evaluation. I actually don't know who's still on the line, but we have an evaluation that I'll pop out right now if you want to fill out our final webinar evaluation for this. And yeah, so thank you so much, everybody, and blessings.
And remember, this was all recorded, that we are going to upload this to YouTube. So if anyone missed, or you want to just go back and listen to our voices, it'll be on YouTube.
That's what I'm going to do, is go back and re-listen.